Sibylle, wir müssen kochen. Good morning, fellow mathematicians. Welcome back to another video. You know, guys, doing YouTube has been hard in the past 2 years. If you don't do shorts all the time, you won't get rewarded at all. The algorithm is not on your side and you won't make any money. The advent calendar views suck. Just look at these numbers. Why am I even posting every day? So I can only resort to one thing now. We are going to cook crystal meth today. And to do that, it's actually quite easy. There's not much that goes into cooking crystal meth. All you need is, obviously, a pot. And what you also need is sucre, a bit of sugar. You also need a tad bit of bottle of water. And you need some kind of syrup. This right here is actually optional. You don't really need it, but it helps prevent your crystal meth from crystallizing, because this right here is fructose sugar and this right here is sucrose sugar. And we need this. And since I'm not a fat, sugar addicted American, I'm gonna use rice syrup instead of your good old light corn syrup. This is why you guys are so fucking fat, mate.
Fuck you, William New Jones! I love Family Guy!
Yeah!
Reality check!
Yeah! Yeah!
Reality check!
You guys are addicted to the crack of the masses. Also, to make our meth nice and blue, tight, we also need a bit of blue food coloring, and to actually give it some taste, other than just being sugary sweet, I'm gonna use some citric acid. You can also use a lemon squeeze or something, really doesn't matter. So let's dive right in. This right here is not rocket science, it's also not chemistry, it's just a tiny little bit of Zuckerbäckerei. So I'm gonna grab my scale, but I don't give you any kind of exact grams or something, just rough measurements, you could say. So give me a second. So as mentioned before, there's not much to it. What you need is sugar. This right here is 1 part of sugar. I don't know what I'm using. As mentioned before, that's not rocket science, just use something. I'm gonna go with 300 grams of sugars here. This is 1 part of sugar, just roughly. And what you also need is your syrup. I'm gonna go with 1/4 of this 1 part of sugar for 300 grams. That would be, 75 grams of syrup. So let's put this in. This just helps everything to prevent from crystallizing on me over time if I don't eat all of that crystal meth in one day. So let's go, come on. All right. If you do candy making, what you want here for hard candy, which reaches the hard ball stage, meaning like crystal clear candy, which is really hard, you can shatter it with a hammer. You just want all of this to be of the consistency of wet sand. We don't want much sugar in there, much water in there actually, because we need to evaporate all this water once again. It just helps our sugar to basically liquefy and later turn into just liquid sugar overall. The more water you have in here, the higher the possibility is that all of this reaches a so-called Maillard reaction, which just means caramelization overall in culinary terms. So we don't want that. Don't add too much water, just up until everything's like wet sand. I'm going to go in with this and I'm going to stir everything up. And I'm gonna see if it reaches my desired consistency with that. I mean, I could use a tad bit. Actually, it's already quite good. I need to dissolve my syrup. And yeah, this is basically all Gucci. So this is like seriously wet sand. This is all that you want. And the food coloring, we are gonna add it at the very end, because otherwise we could lose a bit of this color. Same for the citric acid. If you add it too early due to the high temperatures that the sugar is gonna reach after all the water has evaporated, you could lose some of that acidity. Same with all the artificial flavoring or natural flavoring that you can add. So we are gonna add this at the very end. And for now, let's go over to the stove and heat it up. we want the water to evaporate. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna crank the heat up by a lot. This is an induction stove. And at first what I wanna do is I wanna bring it up to heat. Bringing it up to heat means that we need it to reach 100 degrees Celsius. This is the point where all the water is gonna start evaporating, boiling off. And most importantly, we need some kind of thermometer. If you don't have a thermometer, you could also use just a little bowl of water and drop everything in and see if it turns into hot candy. But for now, I'm gonna use a thermometer, but you are going to notice when it starts to boil. Then this is when it reaches 100 degrees and the water starts evaporating. And then we are just gonna let it simmer on a very low heat up until all the water has evaporated. Once that point is reached, that means basically 99.9% sugar is in here, just in a molten state. Our sugar is automatically going to reach about 150 degrees Celsius, or in idiot units, I think this is about 320 degrees Fahrenheit. Almost there, we are already at 138 degrees Celsius, only like 8 more degrees Celsius, and we are at the aforementioned hot crack stage. And then, once we hit that, we can take it out. Okay, so we are basically at the hot crack stage. As mentioned before, if you don't have a thermometer at home, what you can just do is you can take a bit of your sugar mixture and put a drop into here, or a few droplets. And I have heard a crack. This is why it's called the hot crack stage. It's just like with the Prince Rupert's drop, tiny little bit like that. If you have glass, if you hear that cracking once it reaches the cold water, that means that you are at the hot crack stage. Just look at that. It's a nice, shiny sugar glass ball. We're now going to take it off and we're gonna bring it over to our math laboratory and we're gonna finish that job up. So I also found a bit of artificial flavoring, or I don't know, it's probably some kind of citrus oil. Doesn't matter. I'm gonna put that in. Also blue food coloring and a bit of the good old citric. This can be a bunch. I like sour stuff. So yeah, that is already pretty nice. That should be fine. Gonna put that stuff in. The citrusy stuff. And last but not least, a bit of blue food coloring. Nothing's caramelized, so that is amazing. Now we are gonna stir everything up. And it's gonna turn nice and sky blue. Oh, that smells really good. Smells like citrus, that is amazing. Just look at that good stuff. And it's gonna look even cooler once we put it on a tray and let it cool down. And then we have our crystal meth. It's as easy as that. Cooking drugs is so easy. Now I got this hot stuff on my hand. Oh, that tickles a lot. Okay, let's put it in here. And I'm gonna come back to that later. Oh, that looks really cool. We're gonna let it sit in a cool place for a bunch of hours. And we'll see how that progresses. And I hope that some of those air bubbles will also flee, but I'm not certain about that. That was probably a mistake to use my whisk to whisk everything up. I should have just used, I don't know, a wooden spoon or something. But it really doesn't matter now. It's just for the druggies out there. They are gonna enjoy it anyways. And by druggies, I mean my students most certainly. I'm gonna feed it to them because I'm not much of a sweet guy, to be honest. And once everything's cooled down, it should look like this. And if you fiddle around a little bit, you can get it off, and it's seriously like glass. Just a fair warning, that stuff is extremely sharp. I cut my finger, and this one too, when doing candy making in the last few days for Christmas. So be careful. And now here comes the fun part. Obviously, we are doing crystal meth here, so we need to shatter our blue sky. That's the fun one. Oh lord. Those glass shards. That's amazing. And as usual, here on Breaking Math, we like to put our drugs into Ziploc bags. For our customers, just the best of service. Let's give it a taste, shall we? Tight, tight, tight. Blue, yellow, green. I don't care what color it is. Oh, give me more. That is actually seriously good. Hope you did enjoy what you have seen today, and if you did, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more flammable math. Now until next video, I wish you guys flammable day. That's actually seriously good. See ya.